Good afternoon. Thanks for coming to Toyota Bellingham. My name is Cody. I'm the Toyota Master Tech that's doing the pre-purchase inspection and oil change on your Land Cruiser. Got a couple things to show you that need attention, a few other things that look like have already been addressed. I currently have the intake boot taken off. I just finished the compression test. Basically, every cylinder is either 190 or 185 PSI. So that is well within the amount I would expect from one of these engines in good condition. And it's well within the 10% deviation that's allowed between cylinders. So I have zero worries about those right now. Let me give you some light, show you the front of the engine. I don't see any major oil leaks from the front of the engine. The drive belts are looking okay. These V-belts, it's kind of hard to get tension on them, so they do tend to squeak, but this car seems fairly quiet. Looks like you got a brand new air filter. Wash fluid got topped up. Coolant was a little bit low. It's in between the full and the minimum, so it is still in a good level, but it is a little bit low. It is lower than full, I mean. Battery's testing great. Brake fluid is full. It is a little dark, so I'll put a recommendation for a brake flush. We do recommend doing that every 2 years, 30,000 miles, whichever comes first. Brake fluid is hydroscopic, so it collects water. And water in your braking system causes a soft brake pedal. It can cause premature component failure, things like that. Looks like the spark plugs were replaced recently. The wires also have a date stamp on them right there. It's going to be hard to show you on the phone, but it is 2021, so those are fairly new spark plug wires. I usually recommend doing those every 10 years. So those are in good shape. So everything else under the hood is looking great. Let me lift the car up. I'll walk you through underneath, show you a couple of the things I noticed under there, a couple of recommendations I had under there as well, and then I'll drain the oil and then button all this back up for you. So just one moment. All right, truck's up in the air. So your tires, actually this one isn't the worst of them. They're all still in great shape tread depth wise, but I don't know if my phone will pick this up. They're starting to crack in between the tread blocks, and there's a date stamp on them of 2015. So I do recommend that you replace those tires. The other thing is this knuckle seal on this side is leaking real bad. That's all the grease that's kind of turned to liquid. It's dripping out. So I recommend doing those knuckle seals and repacking that full of grease. And then just future maintenance purposes, this plug, if you remove it, you can pump grease directly in there and make sure that grease stays inside this knuckle. It's the same on the passenger side. It is leaking out of the bottom there and leaking past that cork seal. So I recommend that we reseal those front knuckles. That'll also repack the wheel bearings. I assume those have been done recently since you have brand new rotors and the brake pads are at 10 millimeters. So brakes are great in the front. You do have a little bit of a rear main seal leak here. It seems like all of these older Land Cruisers have that leak. So I'll put a recommendation together for that repair as well. But other than that, there's not a lot of leaks from the back of the transfer case. The transmission seems pretty dry. The fluid level looked fantastic for the level and the condition. You have one shock on the driver's side that's leaking. The brakes are just like the fronts, they're brand new. And then the tires again are quite old and they are starting to crack. So I do recommend that we replace them just due to the age and the condition. As they get older, they're just going to crack worse, and then it can cause a tire failure. Everything else, though, for the age of the vehicle, the truck is looking fantastic. So I'm going to get started draining the oil, and then we'll get you back on the road. One last thing, almost forgot. This power steering pump looks like it's starting to leak, but it's hard to tell if it's the power steering pump leaking or your oil filter is right there. And it's just residual from the oil change. So when I do the oil change and replace that filter, I'm going to spray that off real well and make sure it's nice and clean. And then we can monitor that in the future. But I will get started on that. And your service writer will reach out with estimates for all the repairs I'm recommending. And then we will get you back on the road as soon as possible.